So when I was 8 years old, I was at my grandma's house in a small town called Crystal City. For those of you that don't know about Crystal City is kind of in the middle of nowhere in South Texas. And, it's changed a lot now, obviously. But when I was 8 years old, it kind of puts us back in about 1998, somewhere around there. I was at my grandma's house, and I had just taken a shower, and it was about 10 o'clock at night, almost 11 o'clock at night, and I was going to go to sleep in the living room with two of my other cousins. I'm not too sure how they feel about me sharing their names with you guys, so I'm not gonna provide their names at this time, even though I shared my grandma's name. I was asleep in the living room. Well, I was the last one. I'm sorry, I was not asleep. I was the last one to go to the living room. I would have been the third person in the living room. And I just got out of the shower, like I say. I sat down on the couch, and maybe what would have been about 5 to 10 minutes later, I heard footsteps, I should say, coming up the stairs. And when I heard this, I was tuning in on the windows up front. So my grandma had two rocking chairs in the front of the house. There was the rocking chair closest to the door was the one that this thing or this organism or this, being jumped on the chair and then peered into the window, in which that moment we made eye contact. And so one of the things that I noticed about this creature was that it had big red glowing eyes, and they weren't like red just in color. Like I say, they were glowing. They were like fluorescent red eyes with a small black pupil. And I remember feeling scanned by this being, like, it kind of did this thing like where if I'm looking at the phone, it kind of like looked at me down and then like zigzag all the way down really fast and then back up again and then zigzag down and back up again to make eye contact with me, but it was like scanning me in a way. So I felt scanned by this creature. So, I stood up, and, as innocent as I was, if you guys know my parents, they were pretty strict and didn't let me watch rated R movies, and I didn't know anything about aliens or UFOs or monsters or anything like that. And, of course, I didn't have any younger siblings or any siblings that lived with me at the time that were, playing jokes on me or anything like that. So I was pretty innocent to the whole idea. And so, this creature was at the window at my grandma's house. So I, stood up and started walking towards the door. And so I figured out, I don't know what I was thinking. I was about 8 or 9 years old. But I opened my grandma's front door and then flipped the latch of the screen door and opened the door. And at that same time, this being jumped off the chair and then ran right in front of me and then right down the stairs and through the front yard, down the street under the street light, and kept on running. And so I caught a really good glimpse of the creature. It was, and I know you guys are going to roll your eyes at this and possibly even turn the video off. But I saw this being that was green in color, very lizard-like, I guess, kind of like, reptilian, I guess. And so it was about maybe 4 foot tall. It had like spikes on its head all the way down its neck and all the way down its spine, all the way down to its tail. And yes, it did have a tail. It had like webbed fingers and, claw looking. It looked like, maybe this creature was like maybe from the water or something like that. Or I really don't know. And this is where it's weird because like in Crystal City, like there's no lakes or rivers, like, anywhere in the near vicinity. So, and you can look this up on GPS, and I'll show you guys a picture of what the creature looked like, and also the GPS, right, on the satellite view of where we were, so you guys can kind of have an idea of what my theory is. And my theory is that when he ran down that street, at the end of that street, there was nothing. It's literally a fence and then like miles of nothing. So maybe a part of me kind of feels like, man, who knows? Like, what if they parked a spaceship out there and, you know, they just ran up the street and then, you know, came to the first house with a light on in the living room, you know? I don't know. Do I feel special that this creature came up and saw me? No, because it happens to a lot of people, and it's not happened since. But since then, I've seen a lot of UFOs, and I'm not making the correlation there because I feel like the more you stargaze and the more that you kind of pay attention to what's going on in the sky, the stranger it gets, because some really strange stuff going on up there, especially if you catch a day with very or like no cloud cover at all. Obviously with a cloud cover, it defeats the whole purpose, whether it's day or night. And so, yeah, for me, by default, after seeing this creature, I knew right away that, hey, man, there's something crazy going on. So when I turned 13, I started doing heavy research in UFOs and, you know, like basically, you know, trying to read around for other testimonies, seeing who else out there had seen UFOs or aliens and stuff like that. Because once I knew that it was a thing, I wanted to know more. And then I came across an article that this lady in Puerto Rico wrote, and she claims to have seen the same exact thing, which makes it even weirder, because not only what happened to me, not only did it feel absolutely real, to the point where I never forgot, and I'm somewhat scared of the whole thing because it altered my reality growing up. You know, so a lot of people know that I'm not very religious, and no offense to anybody who is, but I'm just not. And I wasn't always like that. I think when I finally started making connections in my brain as to, you know, why these people are here, you know, and how real of an event that was to me, it started to make sense in a different way. So, like I say, I'm speaking on me personally and how it made me feel personally, and how it's changed my beliefs. But, you know, I'm not going to go much deeper about that. If you care to know more, you can always ask me. But definitely by default, now I know that it's a real thing. And it's been confirmed by somebody else, because now I know that I didn't just dream something, that somebody else physically saw themselves in a completely different part of the world. So Puerto Rico is an island in the middle of the ocean, you know, and I was in Texas, you know, so whatever I saw had to have at some point or another made its way or found its way or came from an island, you know. So anyway, it's pretty intriguing. You know, I think it's worth considering the fact that the world is so big, the universe is so big, and, you know, we're talking about one universe, and there's theories out there that we live in we're a part of a multiverse. So, you know, I think that it's impossible for us to even mathematically be alone in the universe. But like I say, some people believe different, and I totally respect that. I wanted to put my story out there so that people who may have seen something would feel safer coming forward and talking about it. Me and a small group of my friends, and you guys know who you are, we get together and we talk about this topic pretty extensively, because there's always new things going on, and there's some pretty strange stuff that's happened to other people who can relate to me, believe it or not. And like I say, it's frustrating to see what's going on with the release of the documents that the Pentagon is trying to put out. The government has basically put a lien on these guys and said, hey, you know, you guys have to release this information. And supposedly by the end of this week, we'll be hearing some new stuff. So I'm really excited to hear about it. I hope that you guys stay tuned and, you know, really listen in on what could be our future. It's really going to change things. You know, I don't know about you, but I feel like if aliens are introduced to this equation of life, some people are going to flip shit. It's going to be pretty crazy. But anyway, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I was scared, for most of my life to even come out with something like this. I always hesitated at sharing my story with certain people, but those of you who know me well, know about this whole story. There's a whole lot of other ones out there. I'd love to make a video. I don't want to make this one way too long, but definitely if you guys care to hear more, let me know, because I can release more videos. We can talk about this shit. So yeah, okay. Well, let me know. Keep your eyes on the skies.